Use the coordinate plane to sketch a graph of the given characteristics. If the graph is not possible to sketch, explain why. So the first thing I'm going to do is a degree of 5. So a degree of 5, the easiest, that's an odd or an even? And the easiest odd we know is? So this is x to the 5th. The easiest one is x to the 1st. And that graph is just a line. As you go from left to right, starts down, ends up. Okay? Then it says starts in quadrant 2 and ends in quadrant 4. So if I were doing this without the graph, let's pretend the answer's not there, right? It says starts in quadrant 2, so if you don't know your quadrants, you go counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So it says start in quadrant 2, and then it says end in quadrant 4. Okay, now look, this verifies, these two, pink and blue, this verifies that it's an odd, right? Because they're not in the same position. Okay, now it says a relative maximum at x equals 3. Now we've done this before. Basically that means on the line itself, on this yellow line somewhere, there's got to be a mountaintop. Does that make sense? A peak. It doesn't matter where you put it on this yellow, but it better be a high point. That's the point. And then a minimum on y equals -3. So I go on the x-axis to -3. You don't need to draw this orange line, but I'm trying to help you see it. And then somewhere on here, there should be a low point. So low point on the orange, high point on the yellow, and then sketch your graph. And that's what your graph could look like. Okay, so that was question number 7. Let's try number 8. Even degree. Kevin, what's the easiest even degree we know?
2.
X to the 2nd. What does that look like, Kevin?
X. X.
But x to the 2nd, or an even degree, what does that look like?
A U.
A U. Opening which direction? Up or down?
Up.
Up. Now it says increases from x equals -2. So let's give ourselves a visual. Increases to -2. So my graph's got to be going up until this point. Does that make sense? So like my pen, it's going to be like this. That's increasing. Going up from left to right. Then decreases to x equals 0. What a crazy graph. Then increases to x equals 2. And then it decreases to the end. Okay? A relative minimum at y equals 1. Okay, now pay attention. If it has a relative minimum, that means on this point here, notice I'm turning my ruler now. Anywhere on this line, there is a low point. And then the last one, a maximum, 2 absolute maximums at y equals 4. So it means at this point in blue, I'm going to have 2 maximums. Okay? Okay, let me think about this. Get a pencil ready. If it's a maximum, can I have a maximum here, class? Class, is that a maximum? What do you think that means here? It didn't tell us, but I'm going to have to flip the graph. The a value is negative. Do you see that? The reason why I know that, because it tells me 2 absolute maximums, so that means there has to be, the graph has to be pointing down, which means my arrows, let's draw that. Do I have enough colors? Orange. My arrows for my even degree polynomial is going to be starting down, ends down. Okay? And then we said two absolute maximums at y equals 4. So I'm just going to draw, this is the mountains. Okay? And let's put the minimum maybe in between it. So it's increasing up to -2. So actually my graph should actually go, it's got to increase to here though. To right there, that makes sense. Right there. If you mess up like I did, just draw a really big dot right there. And then it's going to go down to this purple line. That's where my minimum is. And then it goes back up to this point. So that means that's where my absolute maximum y equals 4 is. And then there's my minimum on the green line. And then it says it decreases. So something like that. Kind of looks like a tarantula, huh? So use your characteristics, mark it on your graph, and then try to sketch it out. I was a little bit more confident, but if you're not as confident, use a pencil and so you can erase.